very well constructed.
Did he realise this, Dr. Guide, exactly what had happened when it happened?
No, he had to figure out later exactly what happened.
Oh, really?
Because he basically came up with the same
Seems like
idea.
common sense, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly, because he came up with the same idea that I came up with, because it's common sense. It's like something that should be taught in school. To me, it's just like, was the simplest, the easiest, the most effective. I was thinking to myself, how come nobody has ever thought of this before?
Yeah.
How come? And it took me ages to twig on to the fact that somebody actually did.
Well, what happens to all the kind of like people that go to school that are very passionate on kind of design, or exactly what you want to call this kind of scientific design like this, you know, with energy and what happen, and then they go and they study it, and they probably get a job where they can make money out of it. But what happens about their knowledge and the fact that they probably think, no, actually you can do this? It's surprising it's not.
Yes, some of them bring up the ideas, but normally they get laughed out because the scientific establishment rejects such concepts, which is why the laws of physics are the way that they are, otherwise they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's all political as well. And all of these scientists,
it's very financial.
you know, if you were a professional scientist and it was your livelihood, would you be prepared to put that on the line?
Yeah.
With some idea that doesn't fit in line with the establishment, you get laughed out, you don't get given grants, and what happens to your career? You get branded as one of these kooky mad scientists.
So that's an advantage you have in the fact that you're
I'm not a
kind of
scientist, so people can brand me how they like.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to lose. Just a bunch of
That
ideas.
gives you a good vantage point, really, doesn't
For
it?
sure, I've got nothing to lose with respect to scientific reputation. But what I'm telling people is that this is schoolboy science. All of it. It's very basic, and it's all very effective, and I don't know why that people aren't doing this. I do know why people aren't doing this. People aren't doing this because it's difficult to do on a large scale, and the people who are running the place are only interested in doing it at a large scale because then they can centrally control it. If they want to keep us quiet, all they do is pull the plug. All of our juice goes off. Then what are we going to do?
And sure, it's the money factor
They shut
as
down
well.
the cell phone network. Then what are we going to do? They close the telephone system. Then what are we going to do? We're screwed, completely screwed, because we've got, you know, where everything is completely.
But you must also think, it must be a lot
political.
to do. The money for the fueling of it and the industry
and
behind
it's the
it.
control. You have to pay your bills to these guys every month, or they're going to cut you off.
Industry
if you've got one of these, they can all get shoved.
Yeah, you wouldn't be giving your power away. You'd be.
How are they going to cut you off so easily? Are they going to come into your house, take your machine? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's your machine and you bought it off the shelf, nobody's got any business coming to take it from you. And that means all of these companies making all of this big buck are going to suffer for it, and that's why it hasn't happened. It's as simple as that. It's all political, yes. All conspiracy theory, yes. Absolutely. And there's also leaves a lot to be desired about our educational system, because what I'm showing you here is schoolboy science. And if it's not accepted by top scientists, never mind about schoolboys, then you know you've got a problem. It's because its stuff is not accepted and not taught, but it's very basic and simple and effective science. Most of it. Most of these ideas are very sound. The ones that I've taken the time to develop, like this one here, is very sound.
Yeah.
If somebody had the time and money and resources and they built this machine, this prototype, it'd work. It's as simple as that.
It's funny that you don't actually have to, because if you if you conjured up to someone that has no knowledge in this area, or just what they've kind of heard about in rumour or whatever, you'd kind of expect it to be called the quantum in mass taker rudometer, or something that you hear made up in a sci-fi film, which gives you an idea that you don't really understand how it's made, because it's new theories and therefore quite complicated, when in fact the opposite is true. And if they were talking like that, it would be based on simplicity, and I find that quite ironic. You know.
That's exactly right, and that's why
I never knew that.
Everything I do, I try to focus on the simplicity of the matter. You come up with 3 or 4 different ways of solving a problem. You choose the simplest one.
Yeah.
Normally.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works out, because there's less to go wrong. It's the bottom line. It's less to go wrong.
Yeah.
It's easier to do. It's in the first place, and there's less to mess about with afterwards. Yeah. Simplicity. I come up with lots of ideas to solve lots of problems, hundreds and hundreds of little inventions, and I'm telling you, I'm not joking. I come up with a little problem, and I'm like, hey, how do you know? and I think of solutions and little devices and things that you come up with to solve simple little things. And I ignore all of them, because it's a waste of my time. I'm not interested. I'm not doing this to make money at all. I just latched onto the most challenging.
Can you just imagine being really excited at actually seeing one working and built? Is it everything about it, every stage of the way, you'd be fascinated and passionate?
If I had the opportunity to head up a project building one of these, I'd leap in there 2 feet first. I would need lots of help.
Well, you couldn't have done that if
and
it wasn't
expertise,
a passion,
but I would know how to do it. And if someone decides to go ahead and build one of these machines, and they're struggling to get it to work, or they've got issues, they should let me know, because I will tell them what's wrong. I will tell them what they are doing wrong. But if they stick to the simple basics, there's not much to go wrong.
No, that's it. Like you said, simplicity.
That's right.
Where's your little list?
If you can't get it to work in the first place, then check your sonic environment. Noise.
Simplicity, magnetism, symmetry, shapes, materials, sonics,
And 3. Almost all of my dimensions are multiples of 3.
Yeah.
And almost all of my patterns are multiples of 3. Everything, my whole design works like that, because it's the way that nature would have chosen to do that.
Well, you hear about freebie and that, don't you?
It's what I've just observed about nature and the way that nature does things. To me, it makes the most sense.
So when you say shapes, you're really talking about spheres, aren't you? And
yes, I'm
and
talking about
size.
spheres, and I'm talking about triangles, I'm talking about hexagons, circles.
And why is it not circular? Is that so it doesn't hold? Is that so it kind of breaks?
No, it's because it's easier to make this way.
Yeah.
It's easier to work with this way.
Right.
See?
Of course, because of replacing parts.
And also, because then it's got 6 flat sides, and inside makes triangles. You see.
Well, that shape's interrelating with symmetry.
It's all
symmetry.
It's all reinforced with triangles. It's a basic, good structural design.
Yeah.
Mostly. Thanks very much for that.
That's all right. Very interesting.